Good day, dear ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to thank all of you for gathering here in this event space because for the upcoming hour and a half, I will be your main speaker as per se, and we'll be having, I believe, three quite interesting discussions with six different people. And yeah, so firstly, introduction about me. So I'm Justinas. I'm the head of engineering at the CoinGate, and I'm also an organizer of local Python meetups. But today, maybe we won't be touching Python so much, while we would be focusing more on the leadership, on management problems, on hiring, on maybe what a junior role means today. So I believe we'll be capable of touching various segments of leadership problems. But yeah, let's see what discussions we'll have. Yeah, without further ado, let's move on to our first discussion topic, which is called the team you're building versus the team you need. And I want to invite two speakers for this discussion. Firstly, it's Agnius from the Visma Tech Lithuania. Please join the seat. And Aurimas, the co-founder of Swirl AI. So yeah, probably we'll be trying to sit comfortably. And yeah, let's maybe make a very short introduction to the topic, right? Scaling a team, right? It's often understood, as the success problem, When the management comes to you and says, we need to scale the team, it's rarely understood as the problem. Well, firstly, you think, it's good. The organization is growing, the product is growing. We're, crunching numbers. But with that comes, I would say, quite a few problems. And we'll be trying to tackle a few of them today. So yeah, today we've got Agnius, who is the managing director at Visma Tech Lithuania. He spent there over a decade, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, in short, I would say engineering by heart and leader by experience. And secondly, we've got Aurimas. Probably firstly, when I heard about Aurimas, I was quite happy to have him on the discussion because he's writing a very famous and amazing newsletter. And yeah, he's also founder and CEO of Swirl AI. And which was also interesting to hear is that he was recently a COO of Neptune AI, and actually it was acquired by OpenAI recently. So yeah, good thing to have him on the discussion today. So yeah, before we go into the questions and discussions, hey guys, do you maybe want to say hi and maybe to elaborate something more on what I've said about you?
Yeah, I can start. As I was introduced, I'm Agnius. I'm a bit coming from a different sphere of the technology stack, mostly from .NET, because I've been a .NET developer myself, and my insights will be mainly from that side of from that part. So I don't know, maybe these insights are a bit different in Python world. So let's see.
Good. Yeah, Aurimas?
So yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here, and thank you for a very nice introduction. I think you maybe mentioned everything that is needed to be mentioned. But I am coming from Python world. I am coming from DataSphere, and recently I'm an AI engineer. So I'm building agentic AI systems. I'm not coding regular software usually. I'm building the agents that are used then by people who are building software.
Good. Yeah. So far as I can see, we'll have definitely a very on-point discussion. So yeah, without further ado, let's move on to the first topic. And the first topic, which I want maybe to elaborate more, is scaling and hiring. And maybe the first question for our panelist is the hiring part. How do you think the hiring has changed recently? What are the parts which has changed, while what we're still seeking in the new hires? What hasn't changed with this new AI world? Yeah, maybe Agnius.
Yes, I can start. Past a few years were really challenging. Just to give you a view, we're part of Visma Group corporation. It's a very decentralized organization. which builds mission-critical software. So it's mainly like ERP, HRM, workflow management, e-invoicing systems, basically these systems which businesses can't live without. And we in Lithuania are a software house building these systems, these products. All intellectual property is our Vismas, so it gives a good advantage and having flexibility to make decisions. But what we noticed in past, I think it started from the 2024, that we were not hiring that many people as we used before, and it was mainly like business decision because we are very much depending on Scandinavian and Benelux markets. That's where our products are mostly used. And these were like markets, and they are still experiencing the downturn of the economical situation. So we were not hiring that much last year, for example, and this year it's like only a few people. But another, I think, aspect of this is that the big change in how we use AI was this year, because we now can have agents who run during the night or during the weekend, managing. There are like practices how we can manage the context window. So it means we get really good results without hallucinations, etc. So I think this one also that started in the last year in 2025 was also that businesses started thinking, what's the impact of AI and why we need to hire more that could be solved by AI. So basically economical trend and this AI caused us that we are not hiring that much as we used to hire. But when it comes to the hiring, I think the biggest right now challenge is how to evaluate the candidate for us as a company, because if you judge by the output, which we usually do with some homework tasks, etc. But right now you need to sort of judge of the process, how the person is in the process, how he deals with the problem, and how he approaches the problem. So I think that's the part which we still haven't answered, partly because of this downturn, partly because it's so fresh thing is which came in 2026 related to AI development.
Probably it's the interesting fact that you're kind of hiring engineers, but you're not checking their code anymore. The tasks kind of lost its purpose, right? Yeah. So Aurimas, what's your perspective on what now is a good candidate when hiring people?
Oh, that's a very good question. I wanted to talk a little bit about the hiring market from the global perspective, but let's first
tackle first problem, right?
The first problem about the actually good candidate. And I will double down on what Agnes said, because companies are now kind of struggling with two things, because there are two sides, getting hired and hiring someone. And both of those have been kind of disrupted by AI, because now a lot more people are actually flooding the inboxes of HR people, because everyone is generating perfect CVs. Sending a CV out is very easy because you can do that to hundreds of companies with a single click. And so that is a workload on HR people, right? It's hard to actually screen people and to even figure out who should deserve to come into the next round. And then what do we do once we actually choose the people to the next round? And what we would do previously is maybe look at portfolio of the people that you're hiring, right? Maybe we have 2 projects or whatever that we are working on. Nowadays, it doesn't work anymore because you can have 100 personal projects because that's 100 clicks in Claude Code and then you have 100 projects, right? So what really matters, I think, nowadays, or at least what we should think about and will matter in the upcoming years, because nowadays we still kind of sometimes code by hand. Not everyone has adopted AI yet, but in the future, the companies should think about how the candidate can decompose the task efficiently. Do we know fundamentals around software architecture, good software architecture, infrastructure? So how I try to think about it is you will be able to differentiate most likely only in 2 parts. One is either you know fundamentals very deeply and very well so that you can actually evaluate AI's output when the code is produced. And because we are talking about software engineers being hired, right? So we are talking about code. So that's the left side, or the right side. Does the person really know how to operate the system once it's already built? So can you continuously improve it? Can you make it more efficient? Can you reduce costs when it's already running? And that's a big problem when hiring non-senior people, because non-senior people usually do not have these skills because we need to be exposed to that. And that's a big problem. That's not yet a solved problem, but coming from the hirer's perspective, hiring manager's perspective, definitely the ability of the person to, first of all, look at the code and understand what it does, and does it follow the fundamental principles that should be followed. And on the right side, maybe, I don't know, if it's not a senior person, it's hard to expect it from that person, so that the person knows infrastructure and deployment and optimizations and DevOps stuff, right? When it comes to AI systems, it's even harder, because then it means that you might, when you're on the right side, meaning more of a operational side, not fundamental side, the person should then know how to deploy their own models, how to manage costs on LLMs, how to kind of potentially even perform some inference engineering on GPUs, which is a really hard problem and not something that a non-senior engineer would be capable of. So, few thoughts.
Yeah, actually, I think you made a very good transition to the other point, which I was actually quite excited to be able to touch during this discussion. The non-senior roles, you know, let's more focus more on the junior role, because previously, once a junior role enters, you know, the entry-level programmer enters your team, you kind of delegate, you know, the easy tasks, you know, which are great for the junior entry to, you know, understand how the system is working, you know, to get in touch with maybe all the process, all the rituals of the team. But now these tasks are more delegated for the AI, you know, hey, do those quick changes and deploy them immediately, you know? So how is this role now evolving, you know? How to onboard junior developers, how to teach them, you know, how their role might be changing now. What's your take? Maybe let's start with Aurimas, because he made quite a smooth transition.
It's a hard question, because I don't have an answer to that, first of all. It's a big problem and a big gap, which is even becoming even more wide as we move along the AI automation kind of curve, because we are automating more and more. Again, tying it back to those 2 important things, fundamentals and operation, the middle is handled by AI, which is a problem. And you cannot really go learn deeply in the left and right side without first being in the middle. But we need to kind of still work in some sort of assumption. So, by the way, so we talked with Agnes a little bit before this talk, and I think we have a different opinion on one thing. Maybe not a different opinion. Maybe Agnes has a few more insights from the trenches. I'm talking more about, I'm talking more from what I hear in the industry and what, let's say, top people in AI-assisted coding are saying. So even the companies that are building tools for developing software with AI, I'm not talking about Claude Code, I'm not talking about OpenAI's codex, because they are fully incentivized of saying that you should not even look at the code, right? Because that's their business, that's how they are making money. But there are a few companies which are also making money from it. but they are kind of leaning now a little bit back towards we should still look at the code, because 6 months ago they would be saying we shouldn't look at the code, that's where we are moving towards, and that's what we should focus on. But then they spent a lot of time talking with different sizes of enterprises who are actually using AI coding, fully AI coding in their day-to-day. And what we found out is that for now, at this moment in time, maybe it will change in 6 months, it's super important to still look at the code and better be 2 to 3 times X engineer than 10X engineer, and then not have that technical debt being built out that will need to be fixed in 6 months. So why I made this segue from your question, original question, is that maybe there is still time for junior engineers to kind of at least look at the code, right, to understand how it works before full transition into full no coding, kind of not looking at the code world. So how to make the most benefit out of this? It's hard to say because you still are using AI produced code, and that's the future, and that's what companies should do. And there are problems with the fact that whatever juniors generate with AI, seniors usually need to review that, and that's not a good state to be in. So we need to kind of find ways of working where juniors would be able to produce code with AI, look over it, and not hand it over to seniors. I don't know how to do that, but that's, I think, what we need to think about. How to do that, I don't really know. Maybe Agnes has more idea.
Yeah, Agnes, maybe you know the answer.
Definitely not. But what I agree with Aurimas is that it's much better to have 2 and 3x developers, but that they are delivering the outcome which is actually needed for the end user, versus 10x developers which are delivering the output which is just a waste. So with that, I totally agree. And also, I remembered one tweet which was tweeted by Claude Code's tech lead. He said that 90% we don't deliver 90% of features which we create. So it's a very big filter in their company what actually goes to the market, to the outside. So it's like even though we have this big productivity gains, it doesn't mean that those will turn out into something meaningful and will make business sense. Now, returning to this question about juniors, it's really hard to predict how everything will evolve, because we're sort of on the verge. And we don't know where we will go. So I have 2 scenarios here. So one scenario is that, and most of the companies which are working with the LLMs, they are saying that development programming is already solved problem, right? It's a solved problem. Like I don't know when it was when the first time a computer won the chess match. So we're sort of coming to this verge point where we eventually will understand that it's solved. We never, as a humans, we never ever will write a better code than AI. So if we are going that path, it's really hard to predict overall our role and the junior role, whether we will need at all engineers, etc. So not going there. There is like another track which I would want that it happens, because then eventually I'll still be needed and you all will be needed. So it's that we will own agents, we will not own code. And we will orchestrate them like we are right now stepping towards that. So in that path, for juniors to come into that kind of industry will be really hard, and it will take like years to go there. It will be like in medical schools. So if you want to become a doctor, you have to go through like 10 years of university, because you will be making decisions which will have very high impact eventually. Because when you have like an orchestration engine which like orchestrates like 400 or 800 agents, it's really hard to make, really easy to make mistakes, which eventually will cause a lot of problems to you. And even slight decisions in these orchestration engines gives you a big impact. But to make these like good decisions, you have to have a lot of experience from the development, designing systems, architecting them, knowing how components are working together, how they are connected, what's the best outcome when you connect different. So all of that you will have to have it in your knowledge. So I would go with that path, because all of us are still needed. But if we're going to that path that programming is sold, and I don't know.
Yeah. Can I add a few more words?
Yeah, please.
So, by the way, I wanted to double down on that we should be thinking in one of those kind of scenarios, because the truth is that now we are at the very weakest state that we will ever be when it comes to AI coding, and we already can do useful things, and we can build code bases. I heard that your company is building a lot with just AI without even looking at the code. So it will happen eventually. I don't think it will be this year, but maybe in 1 or 2 years that will happen. So we need to kind of figure out ways of how we will onboard juniors to this kind of world, because if we will not do that, then the seniors will kind of disappear eventually as well, right? So someone will need to kind of take
It's quite a risky situation, but probably what would be the take from this topic? I would say that I believe it's still evolving, right? From what you're saying, and probably we might need to wait till the end of the year, but this might be a different world tomorrow as well.
So one more quick thought. So actually, juniors are even more keen to pick up AI coding tools, and sometimes that's a bigger problem, because seniors are not picking up AI, juniors are, and then juniors are producing tons of code that seniors need to review, and they can't. Okay, so one more additional thought is that we still are in that world where we can kind of split off just small features maybe to the product, or even an internal system, which is some internal company system, where a junior can probably pick up and try to build it with an agent. And maybe if it works, and that's just fine, even with the technical debt that it introduces. But it can help the junior to onboard to this, I think, new world of AI-assisted coding.
Maybe one more last question to this topic, but what would be your take? Does the junior engineer already need to know the agentic programming and how that at least works, at the very basic level, or that should be taught once you join, as the entry-level position? Yeah, Agnes.
Yeah, maybe I can try to answer this, because at the beginning of this year we had internship, so we hired 4 interns, juniors, which were in third grade in the university, and the whole idea was that they would learn Microsoft agentic framework, which is very similar to what Aurimas is doing, just with with the custom things. But what we eventually found out that even though it's they were hired to work with this agentic framework, they still need a lot of basics in software development. So we were teaching object-oriented programming, clean code, etc., so that at least they are getting these basics, and later on they understand what's happening on the this higher abstraction. So I think that's needed, and at least at this moment it doesn't go anywhere. You can't do any like agentic framework or workflow or orchestration, however you will call, without these basics, I think.
Yeah, makes sense. Basically, to verify, even later on, to verify what your agent might have coded, in the first place. Yeah, Aurimas, what's your take?
Yeah, so I'm also running some educational efforts. I'm running a bootcamp of my own, and we do not use AI-assisted coding there because we are learning fundamentals around agentic systems.
That's interesting take, basically learn now the basics and later on, give all the tooling, right?
But that's not even coding basics, right? We are learning about how the agentic systems work themselves, how memory is managed, how context is engineered so that multi-agent systems actually work efficiently. So I think that is a non-negotiably important skill to have if you're building agentic AI systems, because if you ask let's say Claude Code to build it for you, it will build it, it will work, but then the only way you can actually evolve it, make it more efficient, and actually improve accuracy of that system is by understanding how it's all stitched up, how memory flows throughout the system, and you need to know those basics. So you can't just wipe code through them, right?
Yeah. Okay. I think quite a few takes were elaborated on this topic, which is good. And yeah, maybe we're a little bit short on time, but I still maybe wanted to touch, because we talked about a little bit about hiring, about the junior role, and yeah, maybe let's spend a few minutes. I'll talk about a different take, the retention, right? It's still, quite popular to go into remote-only companies, right? But then the question comes in how to retain the local talents, how to make them comfortable within your company, within the local market, and not to, sit tightly by your home office and work in, I don't know, Belgium, USA, or any other part of the world. So what would be the three maybe most important thoughts? I know, maybe starting with Agnes, how do you retain, for example, your talents?
Yeah, so we had very good retention numbers past few years. So it was the turnover around like 7%, which when we had like, I don't know, in 2022 or 2021, it was around like 12, 13, which was still like very good numbers back then. I think what retains our people in our company, so it's two aspects. One, like benefits, right? So I think the biggest benefit is that we still don't have any like remote work policies. So everyone is allowed to work however they want, whether they want to come to the office or to work at home. So it's completely flexible. That's one thing from the benefit side. Another more from the actual work. What our people is focusing on is the products which make a really big impact to society, and the technological, the freedom to make technological decisions, and the I think we are pretty on advanced side of adopting technologies, because we were as a group we were starting like adopting cloud technologies like, I don't know, 15 years ago, something like that, very early, and we're now jumping into AI also full head. So basically I think these things can retain our people.
Yeah. Quite makes sense. Aurimas, what do you think?
I agree with quite many of those points. Actually, I agree with all of those points, but I think the main one is, of course, let your people work from home, because I think after COVID, we never fully returned in our mindsets to in-office work, and people don't want that. So many times it would be just a deciding factor. If I'm not allowed to work from home, I will find another place. Then, of course, the problems that people want to solve, but this one is hard, because if you need to scale, you can't always offer people interesting projects that we would want to work on. But maybe for more junior roles, that is a little bit less important, because then you can allow them to kind of use the latest technologies, as Agnes' company is currently doing. So provide AI budget and have AI strategy, because as time goes, more and more people will be using AI to generate code, and the ones who will not be doing that will be kind of left a little bit behind. And I don't think that people want that in their life. So have AI strategy with which would include things like how do we give our employees enough credits to burn through their agents, right? And of course, we can't be too, we cannot have too wide of a gap of salaries between, let's say, us and let's say Germany or any other country, but we don't have that because we do have quite large salaries actually in Lithuania, Europe, when compared to the remaining of Europe. And I don't think that's a problem anymore. It's quite easy to kind of retain talent salary-wise, if you're willing to pay enough, of course.
Yeah.
But that's worth it in most cases.
True. Well, guys, I think we touched the major points, which at least I was keen to touch them. So yeah, really thank you very much on your takes, on your experiences. I believe what we touched, the hiring, the junior role, the retention, are quite a good candidates that will be shifting the discussion on our next topic. The next topic will be more about, the leadership and their adoption. And without moving further into that topic, I want to thank Aurimas and Agnius for this great discussion. Sadly, we don't have any more time for the questions, so yeah, feel free to catch them somewhere in the yard or I don't know, near in the halls and ask them directly. But yeah, thank you guys, and probably let's move on to the next discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's make 1 second pause to get the new discussion members over here. Good. Let me open up the next notes. Nope, not these ones. Good. Okay, I still see majority of you still here, so probably the first discussion wasn't so bad, right? Yeah, so it's the first one, So let's move on to the second one. Hopefully this one will be even better, if that's possible. And I believe, yeah, that's the correct slide. I believe this discussion will be a different take from the topics which we covered previously, but I believe it will be equally interesting to hear our panelists' thoughts. So without further ado, let me give up a little intro to this topic. And the reason why I chose this topic is because, the tooling has changed. The workflows has changed already. So the question is whether not the employees, but, the managers, the leaders are adopting at that pace which is needed, Because we're always hearing, the engineers have to adopt to AI, they need to start using it. But what about the leadership, What about the organization? And I believe, from my personal opinion, it's not talked enough. So we'll try to fix that today. Yeah, without further ado, let's welcome Karolina. Karolina is, I believe, she's working at the intersection, She's the AI person, she's the public speaker, she's the people person, she's the CEO of Swirl AI, and yeah, basically she's seen how a genuine AI adoption looks like in the organizations and how that doesn't like. So yeah, let's give her a warm welcome. Yeah, and the second member who was able to get his energetic drink after his keynote, Tomas, who is the head of data at the MediaTek. He's the public speaker as well. He's also the most famous Uncle Data podcaster. So in case you haven't heard it, definitely try to get the link and listen quite a few interesting podcasts. And he's also a PyData local meetups organizer. So basically a man of many talents. So yeah, give him a round of applause. Did I miss anything, guys? Karolina, say hi to the public.
Hi, I'm just super thankful to you that you didn't say that I'm AI expert. This is the most annoying thing nowadays for me, so thank you for that.
I will mention that later.
No, please.
Good. Thomas.
Hey, thank you. I'm always humble, you know, when everyone says like, oh, Uncle Data, I'm like, oh, damn.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, so we'll have also quite a few takes on this discussion, but maybe let's start with a little bit, how to put it, provocation title. So recently I saw one very interesting quote regarding the AI, you know, resistance is optional, adoption isn't. What's your take on this? Maybe let's start with Karolina, because I saw that she will be taking a presentation about this in the upcoming Vilnius AI Summit, you know, to talk about the mistakes of how organizations are adopting AI, you know, what's the experience of them. So what do you think about it? The resistance is optional, adoption isn't.
To begin with, I will talk about mistakes, like technical mistakes. Resistance and adoption, it's like a very deep topic, honestly. So if resistance is optional, I think that like a lot of emotions and how we behave is optional. Yeah, each day when we are going to work, we choose how we behave there. I would challenge the topic itself. Your job just changed. Is it true that our jobs just changed? Because I worked in AI, I work in AI for, I know, 13 years now, 10 plus more years. And who of you remembers big data hype? Yeah. Do you remember, for example, Hadoop and all those things? And I was one of those who were resisting to that and saying to the company I worked at that time, like, please don't invest those millions because like this is very new and you know, we are not sure about that, whether it will work or not. And they were just like, I was maybe not the junior on that time, but not the senior. So they invested like a lot of money into that, and you know, when I'm looking back, I think that my resistance was kind of clever in that way, because one thing we have to all understand that the technology is new and we are all experimenting about that. And if companies don't recognize that, you know, we are experimenting, because when I talk to companies, when I consult companies on like AI infra, AI engineering, they say, yeah, a new framework just popped up, we need to do AI, we all have to use AI for like, and they create KPIs for their employees. You have to automate one process within 1 quarter, just use AI. Managers don't even buy licenses for that. So getting back to this challenge, so one thing, I think that like in AI field, our job changed, and it's changing like year by year for the last 10 years. And if you are new here, so that's good to know that you know, nothing big happened recently in terms of Gen AI, because in terms of what companies should see Gen AI is just an, you know, set of algorithms that allows you to solve different kind of problems. But if your company was not doing anything about AI for the past 10 years, so you will get into the same mistakes as companies did like 10 years ago. So I don't think that the change is so recent and that dramatic that we tend to talk about. So yeah, that would be my opinion.
Yeah, basically that it's only maybe a social vibe, right? Maybe it's more a social wave recently. Okay, Thomas, what do you think about that? Is it still a social wave, or maybe more a reform?
I do think it's more of a personality trait in a way, just because, you know, if you're resisting, you know, you're not that curious what's gonna happen, how you're gonna adopt things, right? You're afraid of change, of what it's gonna bring you, how it's gonna change your life and whatnot, right? So mostly maybe it's like hesitation or like lack of curiosity, right? And like not wanting to change. The same, you know, as mentioned, you know, about the Hadoop and those things. I was on that like, oh, Hadoop, shiny new tech, right? And on some things you have to gamble, and I do think that actually AI in this point is not a gamble. It's here to stay. I have seen, many people just say, that no matter how it's gonna happen, right, it's gonna be like very similar, like, electricity, water and these kind of things, right? So there's no try, like Yoda said, just do. And in general, right, about the companies, how they approach them, that's like, I do think it's a bit depends from the company, right? In my way, like to be honest, like, yeah, we're recorded, but we have a push, you use AI and whatnot, and that's very hard, right? Because it's hard to get people's buy-in, right? Because they're like, you don't understand, how to use the tool, right? I was I was very, very big skeptic of AI, to be honest. Like, now what? My job is gone, right? Technically, I'm middle management. I'm the most easily replaceable like role, like in everything, right? AI can just like easily snap, like I'm not needed anymore, right? It is what it is. I have to get new skills. I have to be more curious about things, and it all turns around. What I said, like lack of curiosity, right? It's not that curiosity will kill the cat.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting take. So yeah, maybe more moving on to the curiosity. Maybe a question for Karolina, because you're working as the consultant. You see many different companies. What do you think is the biggest technical and maybe organizational mistake which companies are doing when trying to adopt to AI? This famous phrase. We need to adopt the AI. What do you think the biggest mistakes happens there?
So in short, if you are zoning out data, we talked Thomas about it. So I have a couple of slides in my portfolio when I'm speaking that I made 10 years ago. Like how you structure the data in the company and how you have to have analytics, how you cannot skip all those parts, how you have to have simple predictive analytics, yeah, and then you have ML systems, and now you have Gen AI systems. So basically fundamentals don't change that fast. And so the first mistake, and because right now everyone is talking only about Gen AI and RAGs in general, so I don't know how many times I've heard that, oh, we build a RAG and we realize that we don't have data and processes for that. Cheers to that. So I'm always asking, and this is the outcome of AI marketing, by the way. So why someone accepts, to build a RAG, understanding that the company doesn't have data? The answer is money, of course, but then no responsibility for the products. So this is definitely the biggest mistake. Then the second biggest mistake is lack of infra/observability, I would say. I know Aurimas would fix me that it's the same, but so basically building the system, having fun while building system, but then forgetting the part that, Gen AI is a bit different and you have to treat it as a system that behaves, not predicts. So evals here, and when we ask companies, when companies, ask us to, build AI system, I like to say, okay, so what would be a good outcome and what would be the bad outcome for you? And then 95% of companies disappear and never get back to us. So if it's, that level that kills your motivation, I would say that, that's maybe a good thing because you are avoiding a loss. So, I think that in my world, mistakes equals to loss in this context.
Yeah. So would it be safe to say that majority of the companies are still riding the wave, trying to pursue the wave and adopt the AI, although they're not quite needed it, right?
Yeah, and I really, I understand how companies are feeling right now, because suddenly it's AI everywhere and you have to be expert in AI and you have to do AI, and otherwise, your company will be dead. You will have everything that's bad that's going to happen in your world, right? So I think that's the rush. But then when we talk, okay, that's the third thing. It's the cost of AI, especially Gen AI infra. So when we say how much it will cost, so the companies say, but we don't need it anymore. So I guess lack of knowledge, but then it's very hard to get that knowledge in this level of noise. So signal to noise ratio is like extremely bad right now.
True that. Good. Yeah, I'm just resisting the urge to dive deeper into any of these topics, because I mean, we were talking about an hour about this. So yeah, I'm just trying to follow the schedule somehow. But yeah, speaking of schedule, because you both mentioned the leadership as well, how the leadership role changed, and this is where I really want to put more emphasis, because the leadership functions are evolving as well, because previously you were brainstorming, you were gathering people in the meeting room, you were writing documentation or maybe delegating writing the documentation. Now, majority of these functions are basically day-to-day functions passed over to the AI one way or another. So, Thomas, has your role changed, and how did?
To be blunt, as I was working with people, I'm still working with people. You have to talk with them, understand them, that doesn't change, right? And it all comes down, to like helping face the fears, like this uncertainty, right? Getting their buy-in, or like explaining them, why the company has a buy-in on this AI thing, And in some cases, you just have to be blunt, and just say like, yeah, technically for this company, if you're, let's say, working in production, actually, like by production, I mean, manufacturing goods or whatnot, right? Sometimes you don't actually care in some ways, right, about AI. So you have to like lay the foundations, actually, the needs of the company, right? And boil down, to why you actually have to. It comes down to like basic psychology. Like, sadly, I sound like a psychology expert now. I hope not, and I'm not the one, but you actually have to, go through all the chain, right? Why the company needs it, why the team needs it, and then why you actually need it, right? And I don't think that AI actually will know how to properly, translate, because you have to adopt, to your tone, to each and every different one, because they like understand things different, right? We're different people, different individuals, right? So from that end, my day-to-day didn't change. From coding-wise, that's completely different topic. Just smack some, prompt, and it just does the thing. You just see beautifully how things changes, and then see either test passes or, it just fails. Or you wake up to, next morning, everything is broken. So from that end, it's just like this.
Yeah, Karolina, what do you think? How the leadership role has changed?
I agree that it didn't change. It's basically, as I like to say, the leadership is about filtering out what's coming in, like from above you to below you, and just try to balance the forces. So that didn't change. I guess we have more noise. I know I said that before, but in leadership, I guess that's very important thing, because I guess you, Thomas, you face this most because, this rush to use AI, to be AI, to become AI. We work in a bit different setup, so I face it with the clients that everything should be AI. But in general, leadership and how we work is about people. And my worry here is that in some companies, AI will change. Not the entire role, but I've heard that, some parts of HR are being tried to replace. And I've seen a very nice funny reel that it was a yearly review, and then AI told the AI assistant told to engineer that, oh, but you wrote like less code in the last quarter, but my grandma died and I took 2 weeks away. Well, yeah, but you haven't, got your KPI right, and like, I'm really sorry to hear you, but so I am worried about those cases where it will replace, and the quality of that, and getting back to what I said before of missing evals, for example, and the maturity of the systems right now. So I think those two connect at the end. So this might be a problem for leadership as well.
Yeah, true that. But yeah, I'm actually very happy that we came, I would say, to quite unified conclusion that the leadership still has to care about the people, and the people role should still be the main one. Yeah, so I wasn't even able to schedule that even better. So yeah, thank you guys. But yeah, then making a smooth transition, since we're talking that leaders are still, the leaders of people, not the machines, not the AI. Now, I dare to say that since you mentioned, that daily work has changed in engineering work, how to keep engineers motivated, because previously, talking from my experience, from my team experiences, there was this glimpse, that self-esteem once you write a good test, when you push this to the production, when you write, 1K of lines into a file and you're proud of that. It's not that anymore, all this work is passed on to the AI. So how to keep engineers motivated, does it make sense to say, you're now working on bigger things? So, yeah, maybe
I have one
Tomas.
remark. You had engineers who like to write tests? Be honest, come on. No one likes that as documentation. But in general, right, jokes aside, I think the most important, leader role is actually, like broaden the view, right? When previously people were like thinking, oh, I'm just a little cog in a big mechanism, what should I do or why should I care? It shifts their focus actually on more like on bigger issues, on broader scope, right? What they can actually impact, like instead of, oh, I fixed this bug, or they like prevented, something in production, they actually have to think, oh, I delivered a very neat feature, like created, I don't know, an application which like majority of the organization is using, right? They have to be motivated to look for bigger wins, and they can't be that narrowly or like shallow in a way, right? They have to like broaden their view, I guess. That's the biggest motivation, and that's how you keep them.
Yeah, makes sense. Karolina, do you double take on that?
Yeah, but I have to be honest, I've never worked with unmotivated people in my career. And it's not because of me, it's because of AI and the fact, well, I was manager of data scientists, data engineers. The technology itself is changing, and I'm looking into all of you now, and technology is changing. A lot of exciting things are happening, and I cannot think of any other career path that would be so exciting as these ones too, right? No. So honestly, I think that the job for us is quite easy because we are working in AI. It's like all shiny. We are like frontiers, and when I face some, unmotivation episodes, these were because of, for example, a person was growing into the role and there was a time for the next step. So it was not technology related. It was, sometimes it was personal, sometimes it was just an episode of, for example, like, I hate this project because I have to work with that person. So what managers can do about that is just, make some changes, switch people, talk it out, listen. But again, I don't think it's about the technology. I see the risk that people might feel unneeded anymore, and that even though that's not true, but that might be an outcome of the bad management. So I would say that's a risk, but again, not about AI itself, but about, you know, the other parts. And, you know, when we talk about AI and management, AI in our workplaces, we have to remember that AI doesn't cancel all the other things that we feel and do in our workplaces. So, you know, all the emotions, all the other skills, you know, the community and company culture and all those things matter as well. So AI is just one piece, very trendy right now, important, but it's just one piece of, you know, the whole picture.
I can add a bit on this, right? So one of my managers actually, you know, asked me a very funny question, which made me think about how I look at things. So what's your biggest fear? Being easily replaceable or being irreplaceable? And that's actually, you know, how you know why you're doing things in a particular order, right? So think about it.
Yeah. Okay. Nice take. So probably just to summarize, I would say it's quite important to not make the AI the most important one, right? The whole of it. So yeah, very interesting outcome, I would say. Good. I would say we still do have a couple of minutes for questions. So maybe we do have questions from the public, because just to remind you, we've talked about resistance, about shifting the role of a leader and keeping engineers motivated. Any questions from the public? No? Good. So in case, in case you'll be interested, be sure to catch Karolina and Tomas somewhere in the halls, or Thomas will be still giving a talk today. Yeah, remember that. And so regarding this discussion, we talked quite a lot about motivation, about how to adopt AI, but I believe there's one still topic which is left out, individual calls, those calls which cannot be made by AI, and talking about those people who are making those calls, in the meetings where they have to trust their guts and sometimes trust your own opinion. So we'll be talking about that in the next discussion, but for now, give a round of applause for Karolina and Tomas for the great discussion. And let's kick in a minute or two. Good, so maybe let's pick up the seats and not push this any further, because I've changed. It's good, thank you. Yeah, so I would say it's a good moment to start our last discussion, which I believe will be even more interesting, because we've got quite a strong panelist entry now. So yeah, we've got Audrius and Ailius. And this topic, let me maybe first of all make a little bit of intro. So we spent the last hour talking, about teams, about transitions. But this final one goes a little bit somewhere in a more uncomfortable space, I would say, how to make these right calls when you maybe don't have time for that, or that maybe you're the only one responsible for that. So, talking about the decision that doesn't come with the framework, you don't get educated about that, how to make this right decision, how to make this golden rule somewhere. So yeah, let's talk about the calls nobody prepares you for. So without further ado, it's my great honor to welcome to our final panelists. So first of all, it's Audrius Kuizinas, who is the co-founder of Car Vertical. He was one of the first engineers, I would say, in Car Vertical. And also he has a very great memory, because he was able to remember me because we met somewhere 6 years ago. He's got a great memory as well. And probably it's safe to say that Audrius was able and was responsible for many calls when saying, we're building it this way, guys. And we also has Ailius, who is the director of engineering at Omnisend. So Omnisend is a platform, probably safe to say, who is supporting more than 100,000 merchants worldwide. So yeah, he's probably responsible for the calls which are impacting, I would say, quite a few merchants worldwide. Yeah, Alius, Audrus, probably, let's say hi, and yeah, correct me if I said something wrong with the intros. Alius.
Okay, hi there. So you're probably wondering what this guy did in the past. So few disclaimers. I spent 10 years in IBM, huge enterprise, and was working in a Watson. And probably you heard Agnes mentioned a computer which outperformed a chess player. That was Watson. Yeah, I was part of his team, spent nice years, I would say. Gathered a lot of information, gathered a lot of knowledge, and then I decided enough is enough, enterprise is probably not for me. And I went for building my own startup based on AI. And last year, actually in a PCon, I was giving a presentation, how we outperformed Google, Azure, and Amazon combined with our LLM models. And guess what? We sold that startup successfully. We did an exit. And we are proud of that. And after a month chilling, watching all the series on Netflix, I decided to join Omniscient. And I don't like this phrase, but we're saying it out loud. Let's make AI great again. So that's what I'm doing in Omniscient.
Nice, very good intro. Yeah, Audrus.
Hi. Nothing too significant about me. I started with my colleagues Car Vertical. I was CTO there from day one. Big Python fan, so I'm trying to support Python community as much as I can. I know it's not much, but still as much as I can. I touched Python, then I first touched Python, then it was just released version 1.0, I remember that. That was a long time ago. I was in school. Yeah, and you mentioned IBM. AS400 was the first server I ever managed. I loved it. Yeah, that's about it, I guess.
Good. Yeah, so maybe after these great intros, maybe let's move on to the first topic. And yeah, I will go straight into uncomfortable topic, saying no. You know, saying no, it's sometimes saying no to the technical decision of a team member or maybe a team. But sometimes saying no is also saying to the business stakeholder. And you know, based on your experiences, what were the times when you had to say no, and did that at the end of the day worked out or not? So I don't know, maybe let's start with you, Audrus.
Yeah, sure. No is great. You always say no to everything, and it's a great filter. Like, we encourage all our tech leaders essentially to say no, because they always come. People come to technical teams with a lot of tasks and requests and everything, but when the moment you say no and start asking questions, like 80% of those tasks, they just disappear. They turn out not needed anymore, or etc., etc. So it's very important to start saying no straight away. It goes same with with the teams and development, re-architecting things. Like, it's important to remember, like, and sort of, then you're an engineer, it's hard to lose yourself in engineering, and at some point you just drift into the area where you do engineering for the sake of engineering. And that's not good as well, because you just look at what the customer cares. Nobody cares about your re-architecture, your rebuild. Like, our customers don't care about what new database you just migrated to. Like, nobody cares. So you always have to sort of keep saying no to that kind of thing, and essentially measure it. Like, why? Okay, so you're gonna replace, like, you're gonna take this, which works perfectly fine, and then for the customer, for the business, and you want to spend 6 months rebuilding to this. Okay, why? Like, what's going to happen? What's it going to cost? What's it going to bring to the table? What's going to bring good for the business? And essentially manage that. So we kind of solve it with sort of this, trying to build these business cases. So essentially, we're trying to measure everything and essentially tell exactly how much money you will save or what will happen actually. So it's important to lead by that. So, and that comes together with a lot of saying no. You bring it, and it kind of works very similarly as an advanced no. And you say, okay, I want to rebuild this. Okay, why? Write me a business case. He writes a business case, and then he sort of, while writing and actually thinking about it, he sort of says no himself, because he understands that it's going to be pointless in the end. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, yeah, probably also an interesting take that maybe sometimes why is even stronger than no, right? Because then the person itself can navigate it through. Yeah, Alius, what do you think? What about the correctly placed no?
Yeah, I'm constantly wearing two different hats, the skeptical one and a vibe coding hype driver, I would say. And here is a mix of personalities by saying no. Sometimes no can be simply replaced, what are the other options? For example, if the engineers are coming and saying, okay, we're gonna solve the tech debt, it will take us 2 months. So the natural question for me will be, what are the other options? Sometimes the other options, okay, let's fuck it, leave it as it is, and we're gonna build a new feature on top. And the reason behind this is the same AI and the speed of AI. You can imagine Omniscient was built 13 years ago, but surprise, surprise, you can build the same within a year with AI. So if we will be lazy and we will be slow, we will be outperformed by any competitors on the market. Especially nowadays when everyone is putting 5 to 10 different similar companies and watching what are the features, and they're deciding where to migrate and where is it cheaper, what has more features which we can use. It's especially critical part about the speed, and sometimes by saying no to the solving technical debts, we approve the vibe coding, which is not adding the complexity, not adding the technical debt. It multiplies the technical debt in times, like 10 times at least. But at the other side, you are winning the speed. And recently, we had in a situation where the competitors released a feature which took them about 3 months to release. We did it in 2 days. So we didn't lose any customers. We actually gained the customers back from them by saying, we do have the same feature, but it's cheaper. And we did it in 2 days. So we already have it. But at the same point, we are increasing the complexity and the technical debt. And for that, there is other no's. Do we need it to solve it? Probably yes. How are we gonna solve it? If it comes to fully rewriting something, yet again, it's not an option. It will take amount of time, it will slow us down. And for that, we need to find another options. So for that, we started to adopting AI, named it OmniGuard. AI which basically monitors our code base, suggests how we can improve, how to reduce the complexity, and we are slowly moving to SDD, which is spec-driven development. So instead of writing the code, we're explaining what needs to be done by explaining what kind of complexities we have, what kind of bottlenecks we have, what is our business domain, what are the main goals. So instead of writing the code, we are switching to explaining what needs to be done and avoiding no's on actual actions.
Okay, that's an interesting take, and that's where maybe I want to smoothly transition, because thank you very much, you really helped me on that. Architectural and tech debt questions, right? Now with the AI. And I believe it's quite commonly known that what you mentioned, that now with the AI, the tech debt is increasing, you know, multiply times, not like summing, but multiplying by several times. But architectural decisions, you know, previously the architectural decisions were either manner of one person deciding after reading a few articles, or gathering few people in a room trying to make a decision. While now it's more like discussing with the AI and, you know, giving this as the outcome. So is this better or worse now? Yeah, Alius, what do you think?
Tricky question. I would say nowadays all the architects which previously was writing a code, thinking about the code, preparing the code, preparing schemas, are now becoming the architectural thinkers, which thinks about the things, because all the rest can be done by the AI. Because AI can ship the code faster, write the code faster. Is it better? Is still questionable. But for seniors, we see the role shifting towards thinkers. So they are the ones who is responsible not for code quality, but for the solution quality, to think about it through and challenge the AI to produce a better approach.
In addition to that, we'll come to you, Audris, quickly. How to maybe try to not jump into this situation when the architecture decision is later followed by AI's response, oops, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, that's a constant thing, I would say. You can't avoid it. It will happen sooner or later. Because AI is evolving, AI is starting to think forward. It starts to question you. Maybe you forgot this and that and that. And yes, that's a skill which we are trying to build to critically think through what needs to be done. That's first. And secondly, critically look at what AI brought as an execution. So I would say we're still on a learning curve, and so far there is no right answer.
Very good answer. Yeah, Audris, architecture and tech debt, how to correctly manage both of them nowadays?
I still don't like development debt. I'm trying to avoid it as much as possible. I understand we have to live with it, but sort of it bugs me. Like it's always at the back of my head. I know where the problems are. I know where the issues are, and it just sort of drags me down all the time. So I'm trying to avoid it. So the way we do it, we do use AI in code sort of gently. We're not like a hardcore extreme and go there and do everything. We did that at the very start, I think, in the front-end team, and just ended up blowing off our entire blog system. That was a disaster. Hard lessons there. But which I try to sort of encapsulate in the sort of small bits, and we know we only sort of measure it into the main code base only when we sort of review it. So we don't really sort of allow the AI to do things randomly in our code base. We keep it separately, and then we seniors slightly take it inside the code base gently there. So we try to avoid a development debt this way. But nevertheless, it always generates more debt no matter what you do. So it's just natural thing of it, of course. And the way we just manage it, you manage it the way you always do. Like I don't think that AI changed the way you look at the development debt. It's still the same. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. Mostly it's more. It's always more. The more you ship, the more development code. Because what helps you, what AI helps you, gives you a way to move forward with the product faster, better. You develop more features. You satisfy more customers, etc., etc. You grab a bigger market share. It's a tool. Now, naturally, you do it with AI or you do it with people, doesn't really matter. You always will generate more technical debt. Like now, because you generate more features, more value with the AI, using AI for coding, you essentially naturally just move faster. That means you just naturally generate more development debt. But it doesn't really change the way we look at it, at least in Core Vertical. Like you take every piece of development debt, and you think like any other situations. Okay, do we still keep it? Do we tolerate it? When is the time? When we have to rewrite it and actually re-architecture the entire bit, rewrite things, and we do just the business cases there and say, okay, this is it drags like 40% of our revenue, this feature. So it's sort of embarrassing not to have it there, and to make one single change, it takes 2 weeks, for the senior to do that because it's just so messed up. Obviously, it matters to change it, and we want to, for example, we know that we're betting business on that thing, and we'll use this thing. That means this will have more additions, etc., etc. So just write business cases and treat development debt as you normally do. Just the amount of it is bigger. But I think that the fundamentals, how you measure it, how you look at it, how you analyze it, that has to be strong. Yeah,
probably the bottom line is that it still stayed the same, just the quantity of tech debt is increasing, right? Yeah. Okay, good, interesting take. Yeah, and we talked about the hard decisions, the hard no's. We've talked about a little bit about architecture, about the tech debt, but now let's shift a little bit more to the culture, the engineering culture. With the technical decisions, it's quite simple. You just flip the switch. Let's start using this tool. Let's start using that one. Let's buy some licenses, and start moving forward. but the culture, the people doesn't change like that. It still takes time. There is some resistance, as we talked previously. How does that work now? In your organizations, whether it's still more resistible, or maybe the culture is changing as fast as you would wish. Yeah, maybe let's start with Ailius.
Good question. Good question. And you probably saw in January, it was all around the media. Omnisend is the first company in Lithuania who pays you money for using AI on a daily basis. That's a fact. That's true. And we call it AI as a habit. So we are improving the habits of our employees and paying them bonuses for using AI. But here is a catch. It's not about using ChatGPT daily. It's not about using Gemini daily for asking questions like, how should I speak to my manager? It's about making a real impact on our development processes. And in that case, we actually achieved great results. For example, I spoke about the technical depth. And guess what? There is a team who built the gatekeeper in Omnisend during a weekend just to gain the bonuses. But the actual impact on a company's performance is amazing. So we can blindly ship a vibe-coded code, but in a day from this gatekeeper, we're getting all the security reports, we're getting PRs to change the code, adapt the code. The same feature, the same solution, switch from Angular to React completely, all the front end with hundreds of pages within 1.5 of a day, with all the different PRs already in place. So that is one of the motivational things, how we motivate people to make an impact on daily development tasks. So that's first. Secondly, we don't believe in aggressive push to use AI everywhere around your daily tasks. So it needs to be, yet again, critically taken into account. Do I need to use AI? Maybe all I need is just to open a book or Google it. You still remember Google, the old friend? Yeah, we encourage to do the Google. And yeah, that's a mix. That's a mix. We're constantly pushing. We're inviting speakers to speak and present how we adopted AI, what we achieved. But we're looking from perspective, it should bring something which improves the daily life and the process, not just simply chatting and being lazy by getting the answer from ChatGPT.
Okay. Audrus, is it still the same on the core vertical?
We don't pay people for using AI, but I might steal that.
There is an open vacation.
Okay, so the way we do it, we sort of I like to look at it that it's a tool, it's a paradigm shift, how we work, how we change things, and then it allows essentially for people to be way more productive. So if person doesn't really want to be productive, that's a bit. Then we need to have a different conversation, about the motivations and etc. etc. So I kind of push for that. Like if you wanna, sort of be productive. If you're motivated, that means you probably want to be productive. If you want to be productive, that you must sort of adapt and learn. And essentially, we encourage do that. We're gonna pay all the token prices. We're gonna pay all the bills. We don't have no limitations. You want all the bleeding edge models accesses? Yeah, sure, go for it. Just go. There's no limitations. Just take everything you want to. If you need, and just we open, all the tools are open. Just use it, and properly use it. And then we do the different things where sort of realign together with people and sort of try to come to one place and sort of share how we're going to use it, how we're going to use it. Like they share their use cases, they share how they what agentic systems, what agentic flows they're building, how they protect what and where and here, etc., etc. So I think that we sort of go through the productivity essentially part. It's like we essentially like you can do more with less. What else do you want? Like you can sort of, instead of standing there and mindlessly doing something that you don't want to do, and now you are allowed to do the, like a think from the product perspective and actually think about the user. Yeah, so I don't know. Overall, like Vertical, we're trying to encourage this sort of. I'm trying pushing hard on product thinking, on product engineering thinking, and I would like most of my engineers to be product engineers rather than just engineers, and I want them all to think about the user perspective, what the user wants and needs, and test that and do that and work towards that, not just engineering for the sake of engineering. And that kind of aligns with motivation. If the people are motivated to actually perform and bring value to the customers and do our goals, that means they are motivated. They want to be more productive. If they want to be productive, they have to adapt to this new paradigm and sort of just be more productive. And all the gates are open. That's essentially our current stand.
I think I can add a bit on top. I think from a leader, everybody is expecting that lead by the example. And if the leader, the manager of your team, is the one which is the most critical guy in a team and does not encourage you to use an AI, that's going to be a problem for a whole team and the company as well one day. From our side, from manager, everybody expects that you should work with the people, encourage them, and help with all this mental shift that currently you don't need to write a code. There is an AI who can do that faster. And you need to explain the options, how you can adopt, that the AI is not taking over your job, it's easing your job. There is a tools which can simplify the daily tasks. And I think that's the best example how the managers can come to retention of AI tools on the daily tasks.
Quite a good summary, I would say. And taking a little bit on the Audrey's topic, I actually had a list of topics which I wanted to go through the discussion, and I was trying to find the spot for the product engineering definition, because I believe this should be quite a big topic nowadays, and the shift from the engineer to the product engineer. But yeah, that's probably would require at least 30 minutes of the discussion on its own. But yeah, maybe without moving further into overtime, do we have maybe any questions for the speakers from the public?
I have a question.
Yes.
So during the first talk today about the technical debt, there was this summary about tech debt is inevitable. You just have to manage it.
We are recording, so it's better when you use the mic.
Okay, so during the first talk today, there was this summary that the tech debt is inevitable and you have to just manage it correctly. And you said that today tech debt is going to be even more part of our development processes. And do you think that the well-established companies that currently try to eliminate tech debt and startups have lots of tech debt because they want to ship faster and faster. And you said that bigger companies also would like to start shipping faster and faster because smaller companies using AI will eventually create this feature much faster. Do you think the well-established companies will have to increase the tech debts and go back to being more startup-like to be these less well-established companies with perfect code or almost perfect code and just become startups again?
I'm gonna put this hype-driven hat instead of skeptical. I would say the tech debt is the new normal. It should become one day. Everybody is afraid of it, but my question is, if you lived already with a technical debt for the past 3 years, is it actually a tech debt or a legacy code? That's a good question to think. From enterprises' perspective, I would say they're still trying to figure out how to tackle that. But from faster moving companies, especially in this competitive market, technical debt is not an issue. And we are quite flexibly adapting to it. There is different ways how to adapt it. Just simply don't look at that site and pretend there is no tech debt. Others are trying to fix that with some initiatives, like creating some bots, actions, or agents to solve the technical debt for them. There is a great tools on the market which can do that already for you. So if you are courage enough, you can simply pay the money and get the results. But I would say the technical debt is becoming a new normal, and we won't avoid that, especially if we are willing to move fast.
Audrius, anything to that?
Yeah, it's there. You can just ignore it, as you mentioned, or you can write it off. Like, it's fine, doesn't really matter. Like, I had a recently good example where when a development lead came to me and said, okay, I need another person, I need to hire, I need to start hiring people because the development debt is insanely growing up. Oh my God, what are we gonna do, etc., etc. And like, okay, did you look at it? Yeah, it's a very large number of tickets. Okay, but did you look at it? Like, what's in there? Like, I don't know. Like, okay, so let's sit together. We sit next to together. We looked at the development debt, and there was nothing there. Like, yeah, there's a large amount of tickets and there's a lot of crap there, but who cares? Like none of those tickets actually brought any value to the customer. Like, none of them. And then we can take all that stuff, like, okay, we're gonna regroup all this stuff, and that's gonna be fixed when we actually bump into the area where we have to re-architect this part, and etc., etc. It's fine, don't stress about it. There's a lot of it, and just look at it, but look at it pragmatically, and look at it from the customer side, for the product side, and look at the, like, is it going to really bring the value? Like, I know that currently at Vertical there's like one thing that needs to be rewritten, and I'm working towards it. And to make it correctly, I am already working almost 2 years on it to properly rewrite the thing, one thing, which brings an enormous value to everywhere, and etc., etc., etc. So, like, in past, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, I probably fixed 2 development dev items. One was the thing I'm currently writing on with regards to data normalization. Another part was like the way we call external services. That's 2 things actually fixed for development dev. All the other stuff is just there, just blur.
Good. Yeah. So probably that quite nicely summarizes this this third discussion topic. So yeah. In summary, I would say quite a nice resolution of this discussion would be to remember that leadership is not anymore, or maybe it wasn't always, about making the right calls. It's maybe all more about finding the right people to answer you the right questions. Yeah. So thank you very much for the discussion, guys. It was really interesting to hear your thoughts from your experiences. And thank you for summarizing this this hour and a half with great topic in mind. So give a round of applause for Ailius and Audrius. And thank you for you all who are still here after an hour and a half. And yeah, let's enjoy the PyCon Lithuania together. Thank you very much.